The Hollywood sign, an emblem of dreams and stardom, often stands against a backdrop of clear blue skies. But in recent years, a more sinister sight has become increasingly common. Plumes of smoke rising from the hills, turning the air acrid and the sunlight a hazy orange. Los Angeles, a city built on a promise of sunshine and opportunity, now faces the growing threat of wildfires. A danger as unpredictable as a film script, but with far more devastating consequences. The year is 2025 and the frequency and intensity of these fires have reached alarming levels. Gone are the days when wildfires were a seasonal concern. Now the threat looms large for much of the year, casting a long shadow over the city and its surrounding communities. The reasons for this increase are complex and interconnected, a tangled web of natural factors exacerbated by human actions. Understanding this delicate and dangerous balance is the first step towards effectively addressing the crisis and protecting the city of dreams from going up in smoke. Los Angeles sits in a region naturally prone to wildfires. The city, with its sprawling urban landscape and picturesque hills, is a place of beauty and opportunity. However, beneath this facade lies a ticking time bomb, a perfect storm of natural and human factors that make it highly susceptible to devastating fires. The Mediterranean climate, characterized by hot, dry summers and wet winters, creates an abundance of vegetation that easily dries out and becomes highly flammable fuel. This cycle of growth and desiccation is a natural process, but it sets the stage for potential disaster. When the summer heat bakes the landscape, the lush greenery of winter turns into a tinderbox, ready to ignite at the slightest spark. The Santa Ana winds, blowing hot and dry from the desert, further exacerbate the danger, whipping up small flames into raging infernos that can spread at an alarming pace. These winds, often reaching hurricane-force speeds, can carry embers miles away, igniting new fires and making containment efforts incredibly challenging for firefighters. The combination of dry vegetation and fierce winds creates a volatile environment where fires can rapidly escalate out of control. However, nature alone cannot be blamed for the escalating crisis. While the natural elements set the stage, human actions have played a significant role in turning these fires into catastrophic events. The aftermath of a wildfire reveals the stark reality of this interplay, with charred landscapes and smoldering ruins standing as a testament to the destructive power of fire. Human activities have significantly amplified the risks. Urban development has encroached upon wildland areas, creating a dangerous interface where homes and businesses are nestled among highly flammable vegetation. This proximity increases the likelihood of fires starting and spreading into populated areas, putting lives and property at risk. Climate change, driven by greenhouse gas emissions, has led to hotter temperatures and more frequent and severe droughts, turning the region into a tinderbox. The prolonged dry spells and intense heat waves have dried up water sources and parched the land, making it more susceptible to ignition. This changing climate has created conditions where wildfires can ignite more easily and burn more intensely than ever before. Population growth and urban sprawl have pushed development closer to wildland areas, increasing the likelihood of human-caused ignitions. Carelessly discarded cigarettes, faulty power lines, and even the use of machinery in dry conditions can all spark fires. The expansion of infrastructure into these vulnerable areas has created a situation where human error or negligence can have devastating consequences, and even intentional acts of arson all contribute to the problem. Firefighters and emergency responders are often stretched to their limits, battling blazes that are fueled by both natural and human factors. The intentional setting of fires, whether for malicious purposes or misguided attempts at land management, adds another layer of complexity to an already dire situation. The tragic irony is that the very things that draw people to Los Angeles, its sunny climate, its sprawling urban landscape, have also made it more vulnerable to the destructive power of fire. As the city continues to grow and attract new residents, the challenge of managing and mitigating wildfire risks becomes ever more critical. The balance between enjoying the natural beauty and ensuring safety is a delicate one, requiring concerted efforts from both the community and policymakers to protect this vibrant region from nature's fury. The human toll of these fires is immeasurable. The devastation they leave behind is not just physical but deeply emotional and psychological. Each face in the crowd tells a story of loss, of a life turned upside down in a matter of moments. The tears, the hugs, the eyes reflecting the fire. They all speak of a shared tragedy that binds these communities together in grief and resilience. Lives are lost, homes are reduced to ashes, and communities are torn apart. The sight of burnt homes and neighborhoods turned to charred remnants is a stark reminder of the fragility of our existence. Firefighters sift through the rubble, searching for any signs of life or remnants of what once was. Families walk through what used to be their neighborhoods, now unrecognizable, trying to make sense of the destruction that has upended their lives. The physical scars left by the flames are only part of the story. The landscape, once lush and green, is now a haunting expanse of blackened earth and skeletal trees. The aftermath of wildfire destruction is a visual testament to the power of nature and the vulnerability of human life. But beyond the charred landscape lies a deeper, more insidious wound: the emotional and psychological scars that take much longer to heal. The psychological trauma, the loss of irreplaceable belongings, and the displacement from homes and livelihoods add another layer of pain to the already devastating situation. People sort through the remnants of their lives, hoping to salvage anything that survived the flames. Families hug outside what used to be their homes, now reduced to ashes. Displaced individuals find temporary refuge in shelters, but the sense of loss and uncertainty lingers. In 2023 alone, wildfires in Los Angeles County claimed the lives of 37 people, injured hundreds more, and forced the evacuation of over 200,000 residents. Firefighters and emergency responders worked tirelessly, battling intense flames and rescuing those trapped by the inferno. The bravery and dedication of these individuals cannot be overstated, yet the toll on their own mental and physical well-being is immense. The evacuation process is a chaotic and heart-wrenching ordeal. Long lines of cars snake through smoky roads as families flee their homes, unsure if they will ever return. Evacuation buses are filled with anxious faces, each person carrying the weight of uncertainty and fear. Crowded evacuation centers become temporary havens, but the sense of displacement and the longing for normalcy are palpable. The economic impact was staggering, with insured losses exceeding $5 billion. Burnt commercial buildings and destroyed infrastructure add to the financial burden, affecting not just individual families but entire communities and local economies. The road to recovery is long and arduous, requiring immense resources and collective effort. These numbers only tell part of the story, failing to capture the full extent of the human suffering and the long-term consequences on individuals, families, and communities. The emotional toll is profound, as residents grapple with the loss of their homes, their sense of security, and their way of life. Community meetings in the aftermath provide a space for collective mourning and support, but the road to healing is long and fraught with challenges. The emotional toll can be particularly difficult to overcome. Individuals cry for what they've lost, and the comfort of others provides some solace, but the psychological scars run deep. Therapy sessions, often held outdoors amidst the ruins, become a crucial part of the healing process. Mental health professionals work tirelessly to help survivors navigate their trauma and begin the journey towards recovery. Imagine the terror of fleeing your home in the middle of the night, the sky glowing ominously with the light of the fire. Families run, clutching whatever they can carry, their hearts pounding with fear and uncertainty. Cars drive through smoky roads, the visibility low and the danger ever present. The sense of urgency and desperation is palpable, as every second counts in the race to escape the advancing flames. The agonizing wait to hear if your loved ones are safe is a torment that many endure. People anxiously check their phones for updates, hoping for any news that will bring relief. Emergency responders deliver news, sometimes good, sometimes heartbreaking. The uncertainty and fear during these moments are almost unbearable as the fate of loved ones hangs in the balance. The crushing realization that everything you've worked for is gone is a weight that many cannot easily bear. People sift through the ashes, finding burnt personal items that once held sentimental value. Empty lots where homes once stood are now stark reminders of what has been lost. The sense of devastation is overwhelming as the reality of the loss sets in. These are the realities faced by countless Angelenos each year, their lives forever marked by the trauma of wildfire. The emotional reunions of families bring moments of joy amidst the sorrow, but the journey to rebuild and recover is long and challenging. Individuals stare at the aftermath of the fire, contemplating the future and the immense task of starting over. The resilience and strength of these communities are tested, but their spirit remains unbroken. While the human cost of wildfires is often the most immediate and visible, the impact extends far beyond the loss of homes and lives. The emotional and psychological toll on affected communities can be profound, with families and individuals facing the daunting task of rebuilding their lives from scratch. The trauma of losing everything in a matter of moments can leave lasting scars, affecting mental health and well-being for years to come. It's crucial to remember the devastating impact these events have on the natural environment. Wildfires can transform lush, vibrant forests into barren, charred landscapes in a matter of hours. The loss of vegetation not only alters the physical appearance of the land but also disrupts the intricate web of life that depends on these ecosystems. The flames indiscriminately consume everything in their path, from towering trees to the smallest plants. This destruction is not selective. It affects all forms of life, from the majestic to the minute. The immediate aftermath of a wildfire is a scene of utter devastation, with smoldering remnants of what once was a thriving habitat. Destroying vital habitats and decimating wildlife populations, wildfires leave a trail of destruction that can take decades to heal. Animals that survive the initial blaze often find themselves in a desolate environment, struggling to find food and shelter. The loss of habitat can lead to a decline in species populations, some of which may never fully recover. The delicate balance of ecosystems is disrupted, potentially leading to long-term ecological consequences. Native plant species adapted to infrequent fires are being replaced by invasive, fire-prone grasses. These invasive species can outcompete native plants, altering the composition of the ecosystem and making it more susceptible to future fires. These invasive, fire-prone grasses create a vicious cycle that further increases wildfire risk. As they spread, they provide more fuel for future fires, which in turn helps them to proliferate even more. This cycle can be incredibly difficult to break, leading to more frequent and intense wildfires. Creating a landscape that is perpetually at risk of burning, these grasses change the very nature of the ecosystem. The increased frequency of fires can prevent native plants from re-establishing themselves, further entrenching the dominance of invasive species. The intense heat can sterilize the soil, killing the seeds and microorganisms necessary for plant growth. This sterilization makes it difficult for native vegetation to recover, leading to a barren landscape that struggles to support life. Making it difficult for native vegetation to recover, the loss of these plants can have a cascading effect on the entire ecosystem. Without vegetation to hold the soil in place, erosion can become a significant problem, further degrading the land and making it even harder for plants to re-establish themselves. Wildlife, forced to flee their homes, face the dangers of starvation, dehydration, and predation. Displaced animals may wander into human-populated areas in search of food and water, leading to increased human-wildlife conflicts. Facing the dangers of starvation, dehydration, and predation, these animals are often in a desperate struggle for survival. Predators may take advantage of the chaos, preying on weakened and disoriented animals, further disrupting the balance of the ecosystem. The fires also release massive amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, contributing to the very climate change that is exacerbating the wildfire problem. The smoke and particulate matter from wildfires can travel vast distances, affecting air quality and human health far from the fire's origin. Contributing to the very climate change that is exacerbating the wildfire problem, these emissions create a dangerous feedback loop. As the planet warms, conditions become more favorable for wildfires, which in turn release more greenhouse gases, further accelerating climate change. This creates a dangerous feedback loop where fires contribute to climate change, which in turn leads to conditions that make fires more likely and severe. The cycle is self-perpetuating, with each wildfire season potentially worse than the last. Where fires contribute to climate change, the increased frequency and intensity of wildfires can have far-reaching implications for global climate patterns. The loss of forests, which act as carbon sinks, further exacerbates the problem, reducing the planet's ability to absorb carbon dioxide, which in turn leads to conditions that make fires more likely and severe. Prolonged droughts, heat waves, and other extreme weather events become more common, creating a tinderbox environment where a single spark can ignite a devastating blaze. The ecological consequences of wildfires are far-reaching and long-lasting, affecting not only the immediate area but also the broader region and the planet as a whole. The recovery process can take decades, with some ecosystems never fully returning to their pre-fire state. Affecting not only the immediate area but also the broader region and the planet as a whole, wildfires are a global issue that requires a coordinated response. The interconnected nature of our world means that the impact of these fires can be felt far beyond the flames, influencing climate, biodiversity, and human health on a global scale.